Hey everyone, this is Stephen Casey Railpin here, and welcome to another product review. Now, I think it's been about 3 weeks since I last gotten a new locomotive, because the last locomotive I got was CSX 1776, which is the Spirit of our Armed Forces unit, which is an ES for AH or ACH, however you want to say it. So today we have another new release from ScaleTrains. So, as you can see, this is an EMD GP30. So this is my very first 4-axle locomotive from ScaleTrains, because the other 4-axles I've had are just basically other manufacturers, like Bachmann, Rapido, Athearn, Atlas, and Walthers and all that. But here's my very first ScaleTrains 4-axle locomotive, and it's a GP30. So you may be wondering, what scheme did I get? So if you have not seen my community tab, I basically posted a sneak peek of what I did. So, because the locomotive arrived and now it's here. So, are you guys ready to see what's the GP30 I got? You're about to find out. In 3, 2, 1. There it is, right there. So, it is, basically, it's an EMD / BN rebuild. So this is basically a GP39E. So basically it's a GP39E. Basically it's got like, basically it's got like a GP30 car body, but the cab was replaced with a regular standard cab. So basically it's just a GP30 rebuild. So it's in the Burlington Northern white base scheme. It's got the flasher strobes, which we'll get to that in a second. So it's in the white base scheme. So I believe BN rebuilt these locomotives, started this rebuild program around the early 90s. So it's really cool because it's actually really nice that ScaleTrains is doing modern GP30s, especially offering like rebuilt versions or other GP30 variants as well. So we're going to open the box and see what you get. So basically the sliding box is quite simple. You just slide off like this, and the lid comes off. And then there's the product manual, and then the foam covering it. And there is the locomotive itself. Look at that. That's amazing. So now we'll get out of the box. Set that aside. And there it is right here. Alright. So basically to get it out of the box is quite simple. You just slide out like this. And then lift the top part right here. You can see. And there it is. And also they come with these, which basically holds the locomotive in place when it's in shipment. So these hold the trucks in place. So we'll put these back in. And there it is. There's the locomotive right there. So yeah. So there it is. So I'm gonna get the locomotive onto the tracks, and then we'll start the review. Alright, so starting off with the front of the locomotive, as you can see, for being a rivet counter locomotive, it's very nicely detailed. As you can see, it's got lots of details from MU hoses, trailing hoses, grab irons, and also the plows nicely done. It's also got these things right here, because you may think they are ditch lights, but according to what I'm looking at in the tech notes, which is basically, I believe it's it says it's the GP39 quantum ditch light operation. So I'm not sure, these aren't actually real ditch lights, as you see on the real logo. So basically they're just considered strobe lights. As you can see on the packaging, it says, they're just called flasher strobes. So they're basically just strobe lights. So we wouldn't consider these as a ditch light, even though on the tech notes I'm looking at right now on ScaleTrains says they are. So anyway, so you can see it's got the windshield wipers, headlights nicely detailed, and everything's really nicely done. So you can see it's got the windshield wipers. Is also there too. If you look, oh, sorry. That, sunshades, and then the cab windows do slide open. So it's, as you can see, because usually the GP30s have some kind of hood on the top, but since this is a rebuilt, so it's basically just a GP30 with just this regular standard cab. As you can see, and it's got see-through fans and all that, and then there's the horn, which is a 3-chime horn. I believe I believe these rebuilds had RS3Ls, or you can also put RS3Ks on them as well. And you can see the road number is nicely done. It's got this nice hood from a GP30, and truck's nicely done. So this locomotive does not come with rotating bearing caps because basically there's no visible bearing caps on the Jeeps. So there's that. You can see it's very nice. It's really cool. So now we'll go over to the rear, and you can see the rear does not have those flasher strobes. It's nicely done. The rear headlight, everything looks really nice. If you look at the steps, they're all see-through, and look at all that detail. It's very nice and crisp. So let me zoom out a bit. Now I'm going to turn the locomotive around. So, same thing as always. It's very nice. So, I think they do slide open, so I'm going to just see. Yeah, they do, but unfortunately I'm probably not going to slide them open right now, but, so, and you can see lots of detail. But there it says GP39E. Nice detail in the fuel tank. Everything. The grills aren't really see-through because I think that's pretty much, they don't look see-through to me. And it's also got some of these grab wire, I believe these wires on the top, because I believe, because according to some research I did, BN basically these are just rebuilt from various other GP30s, as far as I know. And you can see it's got 2 radiator fans on the top instead of 3. It's very cool. So this is actually one of the coolest features for a GP30 rebuilt. So there's that. So now we're going to run this locomotive and see how it runs. Okay, let's run it. Very nice. And look, the lights do light up, which is really cool. So they kind of do look like ditch lights, even when I run on, even for a standard DC locomotive. It's very cool. So that's actually very cool. So they do look like actual ditch lights. So another cool feature I'd like to show you guys is if you look on the side, there's basically a walkway light you can see. So basically what this does is, like, when it's at nighttime, it's to help prevent the train crew from tripping. So if you can see carefully, if you look underneath the road number, you can see there's a light that lights up. See, right there. And even the ditch lights even light up when in reverse. Or the strobe lights, you can say. So. Very cool. Now I'll give you guys a look of it one more time. There it is. So, I just basically gave it a little bit of power so you guys can see what it looks like. So you can zoom in. I'll zoom in a bit. It's very cool. I actually never knew something like this could actually happen, because I thought they were basically just strobe lights. So, but they're basically just like quantum ditch lights or strobe lights of some sorts. And also the top headlight does light up, so it's cool. But this is actually really cool. So, because I always thought they basically just like blink like every few seconds or so, just like on the real prototype. But now they resemble real ditch lights. So that's actually very cool. So Anyways, that's going to be the wrap up of the review of the ScaleTrains GP30 from the third run. So however, the one I got is the BN Rebuilt GP39E. So anyways, I gotta say, this is a very cool locomotive. So this is perfect for anyone if you model Burlington Northern in the 90s, or you just want to model some modern BNSF, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna, take out these decals and patch it to BNSF in the future. But we'll see what happens if I plan to do it. So anyways, that's basically gonna do this for this review. So I'm very glad I got my very first 4-axle ScaleTrains locomotive, which is in the BN GP39E. So it's a very nice locomotive. I'm really glad with these lights, which are the flasher strobes, because they, to me, were on DCC ready. They kind of basically make me think of actual ditch lights. So yeah. So anyways, that's gonna do for this review. I'll leave you guys with a little bit of an action of this locomotive in action. So yeah. So anyways, that's gonna do for the review, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay. Have a good day, everybody.